In the quiet confines of a dimly lit room, a group of friends gathered around a Ouija board, seeking an otherworldly connection. Their faces, painted with anticipation and a hint of fear, reflected the flickering candlelight, casting long, menacing shadows on the walls. These were not seasoned paranormal enthusiasts but ordinary individuals drawn together by a shared curiosity and a dash of skepticism. The Ouija board lay before them, an unassuming piece of wood etched with letters and numbers. To the uninitiated, it may have seemed an innocent parlor game, but its true purpose was far more intriguing and potentially perilous. This was a tool for the living to reach out to the spirits of the dead, a bridge between the physical and the ethereal. As the friends placed their trembling hands on the planchette, the wooden piece used to spell out messages, an electric tension filled the room. The atmosphere shifted as the planchette glided across the board, seemingly guided by an unseen hand. The entity claimed to be a deceased family member, a familiar presence that initially brought comfort to the group. A long-lost uncle, a beloved grandmother, a sibling gone too soon. The entity appeared to take on the guise of these familial spirits, offering solace and a sense of connection that transcended the boundaries of life and death. The friends found themselves mesmerized by this seemingly benevolent force, its messages of love and remembrance warming their hearts amidst the cold darkness of the room. But as the conversation flowed, their initial trepidation fading into the background, there was a subtle shift in the atmosphere. The room grew colder, the air heavier, as if charged with an unseen energy. The planchette moved with a purpose, its path no longer gentle but deliberate, forceful. The messages began to change, the comforting words replaced with cryptic phrases and unsettling revelations. The entity, once a source of comfort, started to show a darker side. It was as if a veil had been lifted, revealing a reality they were not prepared to face. The name of a deceased family member was no longer spelled out on the board, but instead, there were ominous predictions, warnings of impending doom. The words seemed to echo in the silence, each letter a chilling reminder of the entity's true nature. What had started as a harmless game, a casual flirtation with the supernatural, had taken a turn into the realm of the unknown. The entity, once posing as a gentle spirit, was now a source of fear and unease. The friends found themselves caught in a web of their own curiosity, their desire to communicate with the other side now a haunting reality. The entity, once posing as a benevolent spirit, revealed its true nature, a harbinger of doom. The room, once filled with laughter and intrigue, was now a stage for an encounter with a force beyond their comprehension. An entity that had emerged from the shadows, its true intentions masked by a facade of familiarity, was now a malevolent presence, a specter of the unknown lurking in their midst. Each session with the Ouija board became increasingly disturbing, with the entity spelling out details of tragic events that would soon unfold in their lives. The friends, once drawn together by a shared curiosity, now found themselves ensnared in a nightmare they could neither understand nor escape. The entity, it seemed, had no intention of letting go. Imagine the fear that gripped them as the planchette moved with a will of its own, spelling out predictions one by one. The letters formed words, and the words formed sentences, each more terrifying than the last. One of you will lose everything, it said. Another will betray his closest friend. A loved one will fall ill. A secret will be revealed, tearing you apart. With each chilling prophecy, the room grew colder, the air heavier. The friends looked at each other, fear etched on their faces. They tried to laugh it off, tried to convince each other it was just a game. But the laughter was hollow, the reassurances empty. How could they dismiss what they had all witnessed? And then, the unthinkable happened. The predictions, once just words on a board, began to come true. One friend lost his job, his home, everything. Another, in a moment of heated argument, betrayed a secret he had sworn to keep. A loved one fell ill, just as the entity had foretold. The dread that had once lingered in the corners of their minds now consumed them completely. It was no longer just a game, no longer just a creepy pastime. The Ouija board had become a harbinger of doom, a conduit for a malevolent force that seemed to take pleasure in their suffering. The friends, once so close, now found themselves drifting apart, each consumed by their own fear and guilt. The entity had not just predicted their misfortunes, it had sowed seeds of distrust and despair among them. The entity seemed to revel in the fear and despair it instilled, feeding off the psychological torment it inflicted upon its unwitting victims. And so the friends found themselves trapped in a cycle of fear, their lives hijacked by an unseen force that reveled in their misfortune. Desperation set in as the friends grappled with the inexplicable malevolence that had permeated their lives. Their once carefree existence was now a grim landscape of dread and fear, all due to their ill-fated encounter with the supernatural. The entity, once a comforting presence, had transformed into a relentless tormentor, its sinister messages echoing in their minds long after the Ouija board sessions ended. The friends sought to sever this unholy connection, to break free from the entity's chilling grip. They turned to paranormal experts, seeking wisdom and guidance, hoping to find a way to banish the entity back to the realm from whence it came. They conducted rituals, recited incantations, and even staged elaborate exorcisms. But every attempt was met with failure, every effort seemingly mocked by the malevolent spirit. The entity's presence, rather than being diminished, seemed to grow stronger, its messages more disturbing, its grip on their lives tightening. The tension rose amongst the friends as their efforts proved futile. The strain of their shared predicament began to wear down their once unbreakable bonds. Suspicions and accusations started to surface, trust began to crumble, and friendships that had weathered many a storm began to fray at the edges. The entity, it seemed, was not just content with tormenting them, it was driving a wedge between them, seeking to isolate them, to break their collective spirit. The Ouija board, the very object that had brought them together in curiosity, was now a conduit for their torment. It no longer held the allure of the unknown, but rather, it was a grim reminder of their desperate situation. The sessions with the board became less frequent, more dreaded, yet they couldn't resist its call, its promise of answers, or perhaps its threat of more tragic revelations. The entity seemed to relish in their despair, its messages becoming even more ominous. It painted a bleak picture of their future, a future stained with tragedy. The friends, once excited by the prospect of connecting with the other world, were now trapped in a nightmare of their own making, a nightmare they had no idea how to escape. The Ouija board, now a conduit for supernatural torment, continued to reveal disturbing messages, foretelling a future stained with tragedy. In a final act of desperation, the friends decided to destroy the Ouija board. They were determined to end this sinister game, hoping that by annihilating the board, they could finally sever the relentless grip the entity had on their lives. With hearts pounding in their chests, they held a small, solemn gathering around the ill-fated instrument that had once been a source of intrigue, now a symbol of their collective fear. They set the board ablaze, the flames dancing eerily, casting long, distorted shadows around the room. As the fire consumed the board, a chilling sound echoed through the night. An otherworldly scream, a manifestation of the entity's rage. It was a terrifying symphony that left a haunting echo in their minds, a chilling reminder of the malevolent force that had intertwined itself so deeply within their lives. But the destruction of the board did not bring the solace they had so desperately sought. The entity, now unchained from the physical realm, continued its reign of terror unabated. The friends found themselves trapped in a chilling nightmare, haunted by disturbing visions and disembodied whispers that seemed to emanate from the very shadows around them. The bonds that had once held them together were now frayed and broken. The group, once a united front against the supernatural terror, was now a collection of solitary figures, each wrestling with their own private horror. The once familiar spaces of their lives were now tainted by the lingering presence of the malevolent force, every corner a potential hiding place for the unseen terror. Their lives were irrevocably altered, the normalcy they once knew replaced by a constant state of fear and anxiety. Sleep became a luxury as nightmarish visions invaded their dreams, the entity's malevolent whispers echoing in their subconscious. They were prisoners in their own lives, the specter of their chilling encounter with the supernatural casting a long dark shadow over their existence. In the aftermath of this terrifying ordeal, the friends were left grappling with an unsettling truth. They had peered into the unknown, invited an entity into their lives, and were now left with the chilling realization that some forces, once awakened, could never be silenced. They had tasted the despair of the living, and it had left an indelible mark on their souls. Despite the destruction of the Ouija board, the malevolent force lingered, its presence a spectral reminder of the thin veil that exists between the earthly realm and the unknown. It was a chilling testament to their ill-fated encounter with the supernatural, a ghostly echo of their curiosity turned nightmare. The malevolent force, having tasted the despair of the living, lingered in the shadows, a spectral reminder of the thin veil between the earthly realm and the unknown. The friends' chilling encounter serves as a harrowing reminder of the dangers of meddling with forces beyond our comprehension, a cautionary tale of curiosity that spiraled into a nightmare from which there was no waking.